It's shocking video showing the absolute devastation in the Pacific Palisades. The footage reveals mile after mile of scorched earth where beautiful homes once existed.
The devastation is complete and just jaw-dropping.
Officials now say,
I mean, guys, this looks like a post-apocalyptic scene from a movie.
Yeah, when I saw it, I felt like, to me, it reminded me of the Hunger Games.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe, like, when you told me this is Los Angeles, that area, I could not believe it. I'm like, wait, no. Like, I didn't know that it was that bad.
Right.
thousands of structures had burned to the ground. Today, the Pacific Palisades is still on fire. The frustration, of course, is for firefighters. It's like a giant game of whack-a-mole. You never know where the fire is going to hopscotch. Hours ago, this house was fine, but it caught fire this morning. The entire house was decimated by flames. Dramatic footage shows a cliffside home engulfed in towering flames. It's a total loss. But less severe wind conditions did allow firefighters to finally gain the upper hand, launching water drops from helicopters to save the heart of Hollywood. Fury is growing today over the lack of water supply that has hindered firefighters as they battle fires around Los Angeles.
It's like the perfect storm.
Neighbor's house is going up. We're going up. There's no water.
This homeowner is irate as he records his house going up in flames while his 84-year-old father and his daughter try to douse the fire with a garden hose. Suddenly, he says, the water stops.
There's no water. I can't save my house.
He tried his best, but the water literally stopped. Not one fire truck.
Today, I found actor Steve Guttenberg with a shovel, putting out hot spots on his neighbor's property. When I grabbed a hose to help, I discovered no water. Well, there's no water. Steve, there's no water. Was the water turned off recently, or is it just no pressure?
There's no water at all up here.
At a press conference, LA's Mayor Karen Bass was hit with a barrage of questions about reports of fire hydrants running out of water.
The water problems are a little better now because the winds are such that we can go up and have the air support. And you know that that was the reason that the devastation was so bad, the unprecedented wind.
Yeah, because I remember we came across a video where, trucks, big rigs, were flipped over.
Right.
Just going down the highway.
Yeah.
They were flipped over.
Yeah, because of the wind. And like they keep saying, unprecedented wind. They're not used to this kind of wind.
No.
And so, but you already know, like California already has drought issues and the water shortage issues. And so you know already, a fire to this magnitude, water was going to probably be an issue because they usually go through droughts, you know? So what happened with us when we were in the similar situation where we lost everything, we had to give up everything. What happened was that God he actually asked us, was trying to lead us to move out of our city to Miami. And I was going to relocate in my job from there. And it was a position available. It was like the only one in the country at that time. And I was like, okay, it's like I have an aunt that lives down there. My wife was pregnant at the time. I think she was like maybe 6 months or so. And I had an aunt that lives in Miami who's a veteran nurse. And so it would have been, God has set it up to where it would have been very much of a smooth transition. But we were going through issues with our family in the city we were currently living. And we didn't know, but God knew that they were using witchcraft against us. And we're talking about close family. And so they were doing things to try to hinder my wife's pregnancy, and it caused complications and he was giving us dreams about these people.
Dreams showing us what was going on. And so we just want you guys to understand that God knows what's coming ahead. And there are times when things can seem like just normal, and he can put a message on your heart to, okay, it's time to relocate, it's time to move, it's time to cut this person off of your life and move in this direction or that direction. But to us on the surface, everything seems okay. Everything seems normal. And so in our situation, we didn't know what was going to happen 6 months from then or a year from then. We just felt like, okay, I'm pregnant, my family's here, why would I pack up and move to a new state, right? And so we didn't do it. But then lo and behold, right, we experienced like a transition,
Yeah,
you know, with
family
our family.
slander.
Things just
So
went to
many
a whole
different
other
things.
direction.
Yeah, so
And
we found ourselves by ourselves,
yeah,
raising our daughter when she was born. No help, no support, being pretty much turned on, and at the like all of it was centered around the witchcraft though, and how people turned on us.
yes,
that, you know, weren't
because they
family.
wanted control
Right.
over the marriage when it's
Yes.
like, this is our marriage,
Right.
you know.
They
And
wanted
so I know
control
a
of
lot
it.
of you guys have experienced that, where family,
Right.
you know, close family members may want to control your marriage and
Yeah.
dictate it, and when you don't, they want to, you know, they use different tactics, right, to kind of control the situation.
Right.
So we didn't listen, we didn't move. It turned out that eventually, now a whole year later, the pandemic hits,
Right. Yeah. So the
and a whole
pandemic
can of
hits.
worms opened up because of that.
Right. So the pandemic hits, but God still wanted us out of that city.
Yeah.
He still wanted us away from these people. And so we decided, okay, let's move to another part of the city, same city.
Yeah.
We did that.
We did that a little bit before a year
Right,
before the
like a year
pandemic
before that,
or so.
like 9 months or
Almost
so.
a year. Yeah. We moved to another location
But
thinking that it
still
would get better.
wasn't- It didn't get better. It got worse a little
Because
bit.
guys, it's spiritual, and you got to know how
Because
to
you-
fight
right.
spiritually.
And we're not saying you can run away from
You
witchcraft.
can't.
We're not saying that.
Because it didn't work when we left the location.
But
right
the
then
law
and
of
there.
association,
That's it.
when you're associated with people in close proximity to people and things like that, and they have access to your life,
Mm-hmm.
that can keep reaffirming and reinstating covenants that you're trying to
That's it.
break.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So we were on this journey of deliverance at that time, but we didn't think our family was at the focal point of it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we thought that, okay, it's just generational stuff like ancestors and stuff like that. We didn't think our current family was doing stuff.
Perpetuating it.
Right.
Because there's usually someone in the family that's perpetuating
That has to
these
maintain that
things,
altar.
that has to maintain that
that's,
altar.
That's the part we didn't understand
Yes.
at that time. And so there were people working heavy stuff on us. Like we
Yeah.
didn't know, like major things. And
Yeah.
so God wanted us out of that city. We did not listen.
We didn't
My
listen.
wife was afraid. I mean, I can understand.
Yeah.
She was pregnant. And so we didn't do it. But he needed us out of that city. That's just bottom line.
And by any means necessary,
any
he
means
got us
necessary.
out.
So one day I felt him asking me to, like, he's like, you got to go. So, like, how long you going to just stay here and drain away? Your life is just, you can feel life being taken from
Yeah.
you.
Mhm.
And I just felt I can't do this anymore. And so I felt him saying, it's time for you to leave your job and trust me.
Yeah.
So I said,
Guys, he didn't tell me.
no.
When I found
and
out-
I sat on this feeling for like a while, like months.
Yeah.
And I finally said, okay, I'm just going to trust you.
Yeah, because I would have been like, that is not God.
Yeah,
God is not
yeah.
telling you to pack up everything and
Exactly.
leave.
Exactly. And so I put my 2 weeks notice in, and I didn't say anything to her because I knew she would have probably tried to talk me out of it.
I would have.
And so I did it, and we trusted God. And so we had
Guys with
savings.
yeah.
We had savings, and we lived on that for a while. But eventually that ran out. And so
That ran out before we even left
the
the,
city,
ci-
right.
the city and the state, you know?
But he worked it out in a sense to where we didn't have rent. We didn't have the money to pay the rent anymore. We had the rent. So that was never an issue. We never not missed payments or anything like that before. But we trusted him, his way, and how he wanted us to do it. It was all about leaving the city. So I ended up leaving my job, put my 2 weeks notice in, and I trusted him. And I felt every time I went to try to look for a job, I felt anxiety and I did not feel peace. And I felt God saying, don't do it. Just trust me. Because it was always about not remaining where we were attached to those people. So
And I love that. You know, I want to say, you said that whenever you went to go looking, you felt anxiety, you didn't feel peace. And the word of God says that God is not the author of confusion, but of
peace.
peace.
yeah, definitely.
Even though it seems strange, it's like, you have no job, go look
Yeah,
for a job.
look for work.
And it's like you feel him say, don't do it. Why? Because we weren't meant to stay in that
Right.
location.
Because if I had got another job, that's what we would have done.
yeah,
Stayed.
stayed right there.
And so I just had to let everything go.
Yeah.
Literally. So that's what happened. We got in that position where we were pretty much on the verge of homelessness and all that stuff.
What little we had,
had.
money wise, we had to take that, and
And so we took that and
moved.
we put everything in our home into a storage unit.
Yeah.
And said, you know what, let's get in the car
And drive.
and just drive. And so at that point, we were giving to the homeless. We were helping the homeless still, doing all that stuff. We just, something we did was give meals to the homeless to a food shelter. In the bulk purchasing of food that we had, we saw a city name on the sweet potato box. And I just said, something just dawned on me to look that city up.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, the city we looked up, like not far from that city, because this is what popped up when I typed it up on Google, was the city he wanted us to move to.
Yeah.
And so we said, all right, that's...
Yeah, and that's funny you said that, because what did we feel when you showed me the location? We felt what? Peace. There was peace. We felt like, okay, this is it.
Yep.
This is where he's telling us to go.
Yeah. And
we
it was a city we never heard of.
We never heard of it, guys. We never
place.
visited the place.
No.
None of it.
No.
But we trusted God, and we went. We
Yes.
moved down there, and things were uncertain. We didn't know. We didn't.
And so we packed everything in
yeah.
that storage unit and put the Target, which was the only one in the city, in the GPS.
Yeah.
And we just pressed go, and we drove. And so, yeah, she said it was peace when we were on the way there and the road trip. And this was 16 hours away.
Yeah.
It wasn't a close drive.
And so we did that drive. And the amazing thing, too, guys, was that it was during the pandemic. And the big city that we left, everything was like the shelves were
down,
clear, or
everything
people
was-
had to wait
yeah.
in lines for
Long
hours to get
lines,
into
yep.
a supermarket. Where he took us,
It was
as
almost
if
C-19 wasn't even
Yeah.
existing.
Yeah. It seemed like just nothing was happening. No event was going on in the world at that time. It was unbelievable. So sometimes when God is asking you to do something, it may seem like it doesn't make sense, but then when you trust him in it and you see how it turns out on the other side, yes, there was discomfort involved, because once again, we had no home.
And we gave it all away to, we donated everything to a church. Our
Yes,
previous
because we
church.
knew, okay, we
This
weren't
is
going
it.
back.
This is it. Yeah. We're staying where we are. And so we gave it. This is before we even had a home. We gave everything away.
Yes.
So we were staying in like a hotel with money we had coming in from unemployment at that point.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, the day we gave our storage unit away, full of our stuff,
Yeah,
was the day we got a home.
We got a home. So
And so
that was the
he
thing where
provided and he took care of us, and
yeah.
he doubled what we had given up,
Yeah.
and restored us. And so that's that's the message we want to give to people who may have lost their home,
Yeah.
who may have lost something that was valuable, is that God has the ability to restore you.
Yeah.
You know, and so I understand it's a tough situation. I know people have lost everything,
Yes.
and we don't know what it's like to lose our property to something like a natural disaster, but we have lost everything to this situation that we went through.
And honestly, too, because we since then moved again. And
that's
this is
another
the
thing.
thing with God, because the location that he sent us to, we were there for a couple years in that city, in that state, that new place. But then he moved us again.
Right. Yep.
And this is the interesting thing, because you said about the natural disaster, and there was a natural disaster that happened. God put it in our hearts to relocate again. Guys, again, he said relocate.
Right. And this was my job again, to
Yes.
relocate to another location that was about 8 hours away or so.
Yeah.
And once again, we drug our feet on it.
We drug our feet on it. 6 months later, a hurricane came to the city.
Devastated.
And devastated the city. And we got a little flooding.
Yeah.
But then I didn't know. I was like, oh my goodness, like what's going on? It wasn't that bad. Like what's going on? Like outside, why is it such a big thing? I did not know what was down the street from where we lived, that it was that big a
she
deal.
didn't know what happened
I didn't
to the
even
city.
know. I didn't even know we were sleeping in water.
No, it wasn't like we were sleeping. It was just it was a
A
small
little
puddle,
flooding
like a
that
puddle.
came
Yeah,
through,
that came through.
and we were able to fix all that
Clean it
up,
things
and
like that. But here's the thing: we lost power for 7
we
days.
lost power for 7
whole city.
days, the whole city.
Entire city.
And here's the thing. That year, Evan had another opportunity to relocate.
With my
We
job,
did it with
yeah.
his job. We didn't listen, because I'm like, that's too soon. We don't know, like.
And it's not exactly where we wanted to be in the
Yeah.
location.
And we had all these, these things
Mm-hmm.
about it. And it was like, no. But then now, a year after that, the same position presented itself
Yep,
again.
The same opportunity came up
The same opportunity came up again. And I'm like, okay. Evan came and said, hey, I think
He's
God is asking us to
take this
pay
opportunity.
attention to this
Yeah.
and go. And so this time around, I'm like, okay. Last year, this thing presented itself. We said no. 6 months after that, we got a little flooding, but other people got devastated.
Devastated.
Okay, well, here we are now, around the same time again the next year. Okay, let's do it. We
do
did
it.
it. Guys,
6
we
months later.
relocated. Kid you not. 6 months later, the complete place that he told us to leave. Devastation is not even a word
It's an understatement.
to explain what happened. And I knew.
And this was Hurricane
where we
Helene.
stayed,
Hurricane Helene that just
yes.
passed.
Hurricane
Destroyed the
Helene
whole city.
destroyed the whole city, and people said it's going to take. Recovery is a long
It's gonna take years.
time. Why? Because it was a small town. It was a
Right.
small city,
Yeah, and
very
they have
small.
a lot of tall
you know?
trees, and so
Very
those trees
beautiful
they
with trees
fell
and
on
greenery,
everything.
and everything was amazing in that way. But it's not amazing when all the trees come crashing down on the power lines,
Right,
and then
right. It's a beautiful place.
Yeah.
But when that happened, it's like you wouldn't want to live there
no
anymore.
flooding, trees.
Yeah.
You know, so we understand now, like when God comes, especially when you see a pattern, especially when you ignore something and then he brings it back around again, it's like, don't ignore it, you
And
know?
I felt him put in my heart that the first hurricane that we went through was not the last one.
Yeah.
I felt that. I remember telling my wife, we were driving, I was like, I don't know, I just feel like this is not the worst that's to
Yeah.
come. Something worse is coming. And
A year later.
that thought never left me. So when
No.
he presented the opportunity again, I was like, I think we need to take this
Yeah.
seriously. And so we got one last thing we want to share.
Thanks for bearing with us, guys. And also chime in and let us know if you too have been in situations where God has put on your heart to make a move, to leave somewhere, to move from somewhere, to let go of certain people, whatever it is. And then you didn't listen,
Right,
and then you
right.
saw the result, or you did listen
Because that
and you
could
saw
possibly have been
his
what
blessing.
happened in California. There could have been
People-
promptings and warnings that God could have been trying to give people to leave, to relocate.
Yes.
And then the fact that they didn't, heed to that prompt or to that warning this could be the result for some.
I love that you pointed it out, because I just want to say really quickly too, is bear with me, guys. In the book of Genesis chapter 19, that is where we read the story of Sodom and Gomorrah, yeah? When God talks about raining down fire and brimstone. But the interesting thing in that story, two things that stood out to me, was the angels came and took Lot and his daughters, and his wife was a part of it, but then she turned back because she had daughters
Yeah.
that were still in that land, and she turned back and missed her opportunity. Then it said that
So she was emotionally
Abraham,
connected
she was emotionally connected
to
to
the
her
city.
children and the city of Sodom and Gomorrah.
Right.
And then the second thing, and that caused her. So once again, we just want you guys to understand, sometimes when God is pulling you out of somewhere, you may have to lose some people that are close. Those girls, they were her daughters, right?
Right,
You may
right.
lose children, you may lose parents, you may lose siblings, but trust God and know that he knows what he is doing.
Yeah, because, Jesus said, who is my mother? Who is my brother and my sister? But the one who is doing the will of my Father.
That's it.
So he looks at family differently than we do.
We look at family as blood, in that sense of like mother and father, blood relatives. But
Right.
God looks at it as, Jesus explained it as, your family members are the ones that are doing the will of God. Those are your family members.
Not necessarily
Not
blood
necessarily
relatives.
blood,
And
right?
here's another thing I want to bring out. Before some people say that was kind of harsh, you guys couldn't, the way we did what we did. Years later, when we were going through our deliverance, the deliverance minister told my wife that had she not left the city,
Yeah.
she would have died.
Yeah.
So it could have seemed like they were drastic measures and things like that were done. But see, we got to understand, God knows what's ahead.
Yeah.
He knows. So some things could be a cost. They could be jeopardizing your life.
Yeah.
These warnings are not light. Don't take these things lightly.
Yes.
He's warning you to go and do something. It could be literally your life on the line.
That's the key.
You know?
And then also the way that we live, because also in Genesis chapter 19, you read of Abraham further down in the chapter. It says that Abraham looked up and he saw the smoke and stuff like that. And it's just the fact that God remembered. It says in verse 29, and it came to pass when God destroyed the cities of the plain, that God remembered Abraham and sent Lot out of the midst of the overthrow, when he overthrew the cities in the which Lot dwelt. So the place where Lot dwelt, God remembered Abraham. So God saved, even though the scripture says Lot, who is a righteous man, his spirit was vexed. It didn't say it here, but there's scriptures when they called Lot righteous. How he was vexed by living in Sodom and Gomorrah by the wickedness that was going on. But when judgment time was at hand, God spared Lot because of Abraham. So when I'm explaining to you guys, your level of obedience doesn't just save you. It saves your family, because everyone has a different level in Christ that they are in. Some people are still babes and some people can eat solid food. And so it's understanding that your maturity, so your prayers and your obedience can save your family.
You can save your whole family.
Yeah.
What we are witnessing is one of the worst natural disasters in Los Angeles history. Everywhere you look, complete neighborhoods are gone. More than 17,000 acres burned as of today, and 0%. What we are witnessing is...
I gotta fix the screen. 1 second. Bear with us, guys. Okay.
one of the worst natural disasters in Los Angeles history. Everywhere you look, complete neighborhoods are gone. More than 17,000 acres burned as of today, and 0% containment. Now, I'm in the Palisades, and this area is known for its celebrity residents and breathtaking views. But now when you mention the Palisades, all you can think of is heartbreak.
As you know, where I live is on fire right now. Literally the entire city of the Pacific Palisades is burning.
One day you're swimming in the pool, and the next day it's all gone.
Actor James Woods in tears talking about how his wife's 8-year-old niece offered to help restore the Palisades home he watched burn.
Standing in my driveway getting ready to evacuate.
She came out with her little Yeti piggy bank for us to rebuild our house.
It's just a catastrophe, everything. The market I shop in, the schools my kids go to, many friends now have lost their homes.
Here's the latest on those losses.
It's tough. I'm having a hard time.
For Miles Teller, who played a firefighter in Only the Brave, this is all that remains of his Palisades home. The Top Gun Maverick star and his wife bought the Cape Cod-style villa in 2023 for $7.5 million.
Wow.
Did you want to say something?
I was going to say you could probably leave it full screen.
What, the video?
Oh, you're trying to fix it, right? But it's
What
not working.
we are with.
You're trying to fix to make it half and half.
Yeah.
Okay, you're gonna replay it again to kind of do it over, yeah? To fix the.
Yeah.
Yeah. You might probably have to do those transition things.
Here we go.
What we are witnessing is one of the
That's Ellie? What is that?
Underneath.
Okay. We're going to start over.
Okay.
Right, we're still recording. Got audio. All right, cool. You ready?
Yes.
we